again, as we move ahead right now, what I'd like to do is I'm just going to briefly give you an overview of pages that are literally on the website. And I'm going to explain as I go. And if any of you have any questions at all as we're moving through this, please just ask me. Just type it in. I see your comments, and I'm happy to respond. So first thing, that's our logo. So now, hold on a second. Let me see. I just want to make sure that someone's not texting about having a problem getting in. All right, 1 second. That seems all right. Okay, so here's the next thing. The first thing is, for some of our candidates, the requirements to get into JSLI are they're challenging for some people, because some people come to their this calling that they're experiencing to want to become a spiritual leader, a rabbi or a cantor, but their basic Hebrew skills are not as solid as we need them to be. And when I talk about Hebrew skills, I'm talking literally not about being conversational, because most rabbis, I would venture to say, are not conversational in Hebrew. Rabbis who are conversational in Hebrew typically have either lived in Israel for way more than a year, or they're Israeli, or they have just an amazing gift for language. Most rabbis, they're competent. They can read the Torah. They can of course daven and lead all the prayers, but they might not be able to engage in a full conversation in Hebrew. So that's not our requirement. Our requirement is this: you need to be able to lead a basic Friday night service. Why Friday night? Because Friday night is the service of the future. Friday night is the service that you'll be able to get the most amount of people that will worship with you. It's not and let me clarify that statement. The most amount of people from amongst the liberal Jewish world, not the people who are Orthodox, who must go to synagogue no matter what. Conservative, Reform, Reconstructionist, and on. Those people, they are candidates mostly for a Friday night service and an occasional Shabbat morning bar or bat mitzvah. That's it. That's the truth. Any rabbi that's watching this, feel free to take issue with me, but it's the truth. So because of that, many people who apply to our school are challenged by basic prayer leading skills. So here's what I encourage them to do. Go to synagogue for a year, conservative synagogue, for a year, and go to every service you possibly can. The first thing that they will do is they'll probably put you on the board of directors because they're thrilled that you're there. But you will learn the most in terms of making a connection to the way that we do things traditionally. And you'll really understand things at the end of a year if you're serious. In addition to that, you can join us for a pre-rabbinic year, a mechina year in study, which gives you a basic background in coordination with you digging in and going to school, going to synagogue on a regular basis. If you do that and you study with us, your odds of applying again and joining the JSLI Rabbinical School are greatly increased. It's not a guarantee, but it's greatly increased, and we will all know. The pre-mechina year, you'll see here, it's $4,000, and if we have a class of at least 4 students, we will begin the mechina year. So that's the first thing. All right. Any questions about any of that? If not, I'm going to move right ahead. So that's for a preparatory year if you can't lead basic prayers for a Friday night. All right. So that's the first thing. Let me continue. Now let's assume that you have the prayer skills. You've accumulated the skills. You're a member of the Jewish community. You go to synagogue. You know the flow of the Jewish year, and you have had an epiphany. You've spent all your life, people have always told you seem like a rabbi. You're always there. You're available. You're available to answer questions. You're available to, you just have something about you that people think that this would be a good role for you. And not only that, but you have experienced that feeling. It's a calling. It's something that you really want to do. And you have a basic background. You go to Friday night services. You know how to lead, to sing Shalom Aleichem and the Baruch Hu and the Shema and the V'ahavta and the Chatzi Kaddish and on and on and on. And you're comfortable with the Hebrew. That's when we get to JSLI. You would apply to JSLI, and if you were accepted to JSLI, basically, once you're accepted, we are looking for 3 letters of recommendation. All right, and then you're going to be trained on the technology, on getting into the webinars, not the webinars, the web conferencing software, and how to get your assignments, which is another piece of software, and then you're going to meet online with the other members of your class every week for 2 semesters. Every week for 2 semesters, probably Wednesday nights for about 2.5 hours. And when you come to that class, you have to be prepared for that class because there is a topic that's associated with that class. It might be Shabbat. What are the rules surrounding Shabbat? What is the history of Shabbat? What are the categories of work that you're traditionally not allowed to perform on Shabbat? What about you? Are you Shabbat observant? Probably not. Are the members of your community Shabbat observant? Probably not. How do you reconcile the traditions with modernity? That's what we spend our time on. We talk about it. We figure it out. So these things are that's the way the program moves. Each week is a new session in something else. And excuse me, just want to plug this in again. All right. And we have about between 35 and 40 topics over the course of the year. It covers everything from kashrut, are you kosher or are you not kosher? Let me see. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought because I'm looking at a question. Is there an ordination? Yes, there is. At the end of your study, at the end of your year of study, and remember, it's a year of study, but it's a concentrated year of study, and it's based on the idea that you've come to us with a background, with a lot of knowledge. And at the end of that year of study, just like what's going to happen tomorrow through Sunday, we are having an ordination ceremony. We have 6 rabbis, 2 cantors who will be ordained at the conclusion of Shabbat. We meet as a group at a retreat, a spiritual retreat. We have Shabbat together. We eat. We study together. We sing. We pray together. We have a wonderful Shabbat. And then on Saturday night, you invite your family and friends, and we have a beautiful, wonderful ordination. A wonderful ordination, and during which you are granted smicha, you are granted religious or rabbinic ordination, and you receive a certificate, which is legal and 100%. We stand behind it. And if you ever need support to register as a wedding officiant in a particular place, we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're here. All right. So that's the story. Is it recognized by the 4 denominations? No, it's recognized by nobody. Just like Chabad's ordination isn't recognized by Reform, and Reform isn't recognized by Orthodox, and Conservative isn't thrilled with Reform, and Chabad doesn't let anybody. It's recognized by the community that you serve and the people that believe and support you. Now, let me say further to that. It was a curt no, just because I get this question. This is a common question. I don't blame you. I understand that. But you understand that in order to be ordained in a particular denomination, you must go to that denomination's seminary. The Reform movement is not going to accept you if you go to an Orthodox community and get a semicha. They're not taking you. Do you understand? Same thing with JSLI's ordination. Now, let me say this. We have maybe 30 or 40, no, not 40, but maybe 30% of our rabbis, so that would be 30, maybe 40, who are serving conservative, Reform, and Reconstructionist communities around the world. Because they have the skills, they have the ordination, people love them, and they're amazing. It's not about the piece of paper from any of these seminaries. It's about what you bring to your ordination. Okay? I hope that makes sense for all of you. All right, so this was just the curriculum. We have a lot of topics. So you see what they are: rabbinics, history, liturgy, professional development, weddings, funerals, officiating at bar mitzvahs, the whole thing. The whole thing. All right. Well, Helene, that's great. But that particular conservative community has evolved, because a conservative community in the past would never consider a Reform rabbi to be their spiritual leader. Never. That what you're talking about in your community, and I'm sure in many other conservative communities, is talking about a community that has moved ahead and understands that a good rabbi is a good rabbi. That's all. And they're probably more progressive than a conservative rabbi would be able to be in that community. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the story with that. And remember, if you choose to go to a mainstream seminary, that God bless you. 5 years. How old are you? 68? 5 years. Where do I have to go? Israel. 1 year. Israel. 1 year. How much does it cost, Reb? I don't know, 25, 30, 35,000 a year. Can I get scholarship? Maybe. It's like going back to college for 5 years. I don't know how old any of you are, but if you're more than 26 or 27 and you have a relationship, maybe you even have a family, it's very rare that everybody's going to pick up and go to Israel for a year. So you would be excluded from that process. What if your partner is not Jewish? You would be excluded from that seminary. Okay? Yeah. All right. So those are the courses. Wonderful units of study. Liturgy, practical rabbinics, pastoral counseling, you name it. And each unit is a mini semester. I could take any one of these units, these weekly study courses, and expand upon it and make it a semester. And you can come into class, you can hang out with professors a little late, you can hang out as a 2-hour class, you could talk, this one will give a speech, this one will talk, whatever. You'll get the same information from my course as you will from that semester of study. I'm sorry, but it's true. Okay, moving ahead. Okay. I'm glad, Helene. That's great. Let me move ahead. Now, it's just so there we go. I'm not the only teacher. I don't want to be the only teacher. I want you to be exposed to other teachers because they're qualified teachers. And we have, through JSLI, we've used many of our graduates, but also we're finding more and more rabbis from outside the JSLI community would like to teach for us. So this is an example of the teachers that we have. Rabbi Perlman, he's a conservative cantor in a prominent conservative community in Massachusetts. Rabbi Simcha Raphael, he's a maven in pastoral counseling and spiritual healing. Rabbi Engelmeyer, brilliant rabbi in northern New Jersey. Rabbi Ossian, she's a chaplain, and on and on and on. These are all professionals. We're not messing around. We want you to have a professional experience with us and something that's valuable to you. So, I talked about the requirements for admission. You must be capable of leading the basic prayers for Friday night. All right? Assuming you can do that, you can also lead the basic prayers for Saturday morning. And the truth is that if you're going to do a bat mitzvah in the future, unless you're in a conservative community, you're probably going to be fine with leading that. But we talk about all of that in the process of training over the course of the year. Our tuition is admission. Oh, this is just admissions. Yeah, as I was saying, if you're admitted, and I will interview you, I'll listen to you daven. We're going to get 3 letters of recommendation. We're going to talk about your journey. You're going to agree to go to shul, go to synagogue all year long. Maybe join me on Friday nights online as I stream. The community is very important to us, and you are part of a community when you join JSLI. Your class will probably be larger than you would have at JTS. We already have 7 or 8 signed up for the fall. Maybe we'll be 10 or 12. That's a big rabbinic class in the real world. You'll be with them all year long. You'll make friends. This class that's being ordained this week, they love each other. They're actually here in New York days earlier so they can tour New York together. Is that incredible? All right. What else? Any questions about admission or anything? The tuition is the tuition. It's what is it? If you begin in September, it's $14,250. It's a lot of money. I know. You'll make it back in a year or 2 years or 3 years with weddings, or if you run a high holiday service, or if you're engaged as a part-time spiritual leader. I have to tell you, for people that are serious and want to be rabbis in their community and have what it takes, this is the best investment you'll make your tuition back. And that certainly goes for cantors. I have 2 cantors that are going to be ordained. They're already working. So because again, they don't have $150,000 in debt. They can work with communities that are smaller, and they're thrilled. Okay. That's the story with that. Moving right ahead. As I mentioned, your ordination, your semicha, will be extended to you during an ordination weekend, after Havdalah, at a retreat where people all year long, a spiritual retreat, where all year long people are coming together as community to celebrate each other. It doesn't have to be a Jewish retreat. We have 2 that we use that are pretty steady for us, and they're beautiful places. They're all year long. They're celebrating life. So when we go there, fit right in. This particular place is a glass enclosed room that we worship in, glass enclosed, and where the ordination will take place. Okay? So that's the story with that. At the end of a year of study, you fly in to New York. Pretty much going to be New York this time. And we find a retreat. We have one in about 45 minutes north of New York City. Any other questions about that? If not, moving ahead. Now, for any of you that are cantors or who might be watching this later, our cantorial school curriculum is, I'm loving it. I love it. We've ordained 2 cantors. They're working. We have 2 that are going to be ordained. They're working. We have 4 in the pipeline, and they will be working. We give you a practical course in cantorial nusach. What that means is that you will learn how to lead a service for a conservative synagogue. What does that mean? That means you can take your knowledge And you literally, if you learn your material, you literally can go and lead a service in an Orthodox synagogue, conservative synagogue, Reform synagogue, Reconstructionist synagogue, secular humanist synagogue, Jewish Universalist synagogue, anywhere, because I'll be teaching you much more than you'll probably ever use unless you're leading a service in a conservative synagogue. It's mentoring with me. There are typically 2 students in the class. It's Chavruta style. It might be Joel and Kristen in the class. We study together. We get online just like this. I listen to you. I tell you what's wrong, what's right. I'm very kind. You record your material. I keep track of your material. It takes about 2 years. We meet every other week online for 2 semesters. And it takes about 2 years. When you know and you get invited to life cycle classes for the cantorial program. In other words, as a cantorial student, you're going to learn how to lead weddings and funerals and officiate at bar and bat mitzvahs. So you are included in those aspects of the rabbinic curriculum, and then you're ordained. All right? It's very, very fun, very wonderful. The students love it, and I love working with them. Same thing for the cantorial program. I believe the tuition is $12,500. It's payable over the 2 years. And basically, we want to get paid in full prior to your receiving ordination as cantor. For the rabbinical program, we need to receive all of our money prior to your ordination as rabbi. All right, but we have payment plans. And in some cases, we can extend payments if the finances are a challenge. All right. Okay, Helene wants to know what and where is a Jewish Universalist synagogue. Okay, I'm happy to take a minute because we're beginning to conclude. 10 years ago, I was the rabbi of a conservative community, and I chose not to renew my contract. It wasn't a thriving community, but I was offered a contract, but I was very unhappy, and I was physically getting ill because the conservative dogma, even though that's what I teach, because it's the best way to learn, didn't resonate for me as rabbi of the community. I couldn't understand the austerity of people not being able to bring in canned food to the synagogue, even if it wasn't kosher, to leave it at the front door to be collected by members of the greater community. Or that members of the community couldn't have a potluck dinner if it was vegetarian because their dishes might not be kosher. I had the liturgy was too long for the people that were coming. There's a myriad of issues that I had. So I began to envision what type of Judaism would make me happy, and I thought by extension would appeal to people who were in interfaith relationships, people who were maybe not even Jewish, but were interested in worshiping Jewishly. And I created Jewish Universalism together, and we founded the Jewish Universalist movement with 3 other rabbis. So there were 4 rabbis. We have about 20 Jewish Universalist rabbis who have chosen to be Jewish Universalist. If you would like more information about it, you can go to the website, ujuc.org. I'll type in ujuc.org. Union of Jewish Universalist Communities. UJUC, well, I typed that in wrong. ujuc.org. Okay, there you go. And you can learn all about it. But when you study with JSLI, you don't come out Jewish Universalist. You don't come out conservative. You don't come out Reform, or you come out as rabbi. And one of the most important things for me is that your study opens your heart and your mind to the greater Jewish world, and allows you to choose what denomination you really resonates for you personally. Because I'll tell you something, if you're a Reform rabbi and you take a job in a conservative synagogue, you can't be that Reform rabbi, no matter what Helene said. Okay. You must make an adjustment and be on the right, unless that synagogue is conservatorm or reformative, an amalgam of both movements leaning towards reform. My job, my dream, my vision, my goal is that to make you happy. And when you're happy, they'll be happy. Happy with yourself spiritually, and meet the needs of those you're working with spiritually. All right. What else? I think that's it. One more page. What is this? All right. Well, so we know just briefly these questions. How long is rabbinical school? Well, it's a lifetime, capped off by a year at JSLI, if you have the skills. Who can become a rabbi? A man, woman, a gender-neutral person, a transitional person. We don't care. If you've got what it takes, you come into the school, you're welcome. Yes, a convert can become a rabbi. Can a female be a rabbi? Of course. Is it difficult to study online? No. How much we know how much it costs. How much will I save by going, $125,000 more? Are cantors ordained? Yes, they are. Are cantors paid? Quite nicely. Thank you. Are there female cantors? Yes, there are. Can a cantor perform a bar bat mitzvah or any other religious ceremony? Yes, they can. How long is cantorial school? 2 years. Because you just can't get it all in a year. What kind of Judaism is taught at JSLI? Your Judaism. Your Judaism. We teach from a conservative place, fully understanding and expecting you to be who you are. If you go to a conservative seminary, you're a conservative rabbi. If you go to Chabad, you're a Chabad rabbi. Get it? What are the roles of rabbi? Well, what's the role of cantor? Yeah. Well, will I ever have to meet in person in order to become? Yes, at our ordination ceremony. So, that's the story, ladies and gentlemen. That is our webinar. Are there any questions about JSLI that I have not? How do I learn Hebrew to ramp up? Okay, that's a great question, Tao. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You need to, first of all, you have to go to synagogue regularly. Okay, number one. Number two, at the synagogue, or you can search online, you need to find someone that will teach you to read Hebrew, not to speak Hebrew. I don't want you to start speaking Mashalom Chad. I don't want you to be an Israeli. I just want you to read the Hebrew. I need you to look at that Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav. Many ways. You could go to YouTube and learn to read. It's probably better that it's a combination of all these things. Maybe YouTube, synagogue regularly, but you must be conservative or reform. But conservative is the best choice. Although it's harder to learn to read because they go faster. So. It's a mixed bag, but all right, conservative or reform, and then you should probably hire someone. You could hire someone online. Just go searching somewhere who can teach you to read Hebrew. Work with you a half an hour every week online. What's that going to cost you? $50? I mean, I don't know. You could probably find somebody. It used to be you'd have to go somewhere to learn. You'd sit down with some. Do it at home. Do it at home. Find somebody that'll work with you to teach you to read Hebrew. And you can join the Molina program simultaneously. All three of those things, at the end of the year, you have a good shot of being qualified. Can I? Yes, that's what I said. I've been attending Hebrew for the past 3 years, but I can't read Hebrew. Well, I mean, the Mechina, by the way, the Mechina is $4,000. So, and I believe we meet every other week. And it'll be a different rabbi. It might be me once in a while, be a different rabbi, taking you through the course of study, the pre-study. So it's certainly in your interest to learn to read. Everybody can learn to read. I talk to people, they're dyslexic, or they got this, or they got that. Look, you can learn to read. Okay? You can. You look at the letters and you decode them. And even if at the end of the day, you're looking at the letters, but you fall back on the transliteration underneath it, you must be able to say, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. Instead of Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech. It's amateur stuff. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen. You must get to that level. Any other questions? All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I'm gonna wrap this up. But I'll wait. I'll just wait a few seconds to see if there's anyone. Listen, I want to thank you for joining us online. This has been recorded. I'm probably going to post it after I review it. Make sure that it doesn't look bad in any way, and then hopefully we'll be able to toda b'vakasha, and to you. What are the requirements to enter the Mechina program? A check, and it's on you. I mean, it's really a basic program, which you've got to find. You also have to find someone to be able to work with you. I don't have resources. I mean, I probably could. We could probably post someone in the Mechina is looking to learn to read Hebrew, and you agree on that you'll pay X amount for an online session. You'll get a particular book, a simple book, and you got to practice. But as an adult, you're not a kid. You're not a 12-year-old kid where we're worried about you standing up there. If you can't make it, it's on you. You're a grown-up. So if you want to do it, I know you can do it. Yeah. I can read Shul Hebrew reasonably. Well, then that's good. Then what I'm going to need to do is you need to apply, and I need to hear you. I need to hear you read. Simple. I don't need you to learn Torah without vowels and be perfect. Okay? All right? Okay. Over the phone or in person? What? Over the phone. We don't interview in person. We interview over the phone. Yeah, you fill out the application online at JSLI.net. Fill out the rabbinic application. It asks you your background, your experience, and then I'm going to call you and email you, and we'll spend some time on the phone. I'm going to get to know you, and I'm going to listen to you, and that'll be how we know. All right. Any other